All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on a topic that might make some people blush. We're talking about anal sex.
Whether you're well-versed or just plain curious, we're going to break it all down. And lucky for us, we've got our expert here to guide us, ready to get into it.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, we're sticking to the facts here, folks. We're dissecting this Wikipedia article on anal sex. No judgments, just pure information.
Love that. So we're cracking open this Wikipedia article, and let me tell you, it covers a lot. But I figure, why not start with the basics, right? The human body and all its, shall we say, intricacies.
Good place to start. And the article really gets into the nitty-gritty of the anatomy down there, all those nerve endings. It's a lot more complex than people might realize. For real. When I saw abundance of nerve endings, I was like, ooh, this is going to be good. But also, gotta acknowledge, where there's potential for pleasure, there's going to be potential for pain too, right?
Right, you are. The article talks about those sphincter muscles, and they're kind of like the bouncers, controlling what goes in and out. Super sensitive, which is why experiences can be so different for everyone.
Makes sense. And speaking of different experiences,
Hmm.
this article mentions some stuff I'd honestly never even heard of. Analingus, for one. That's basically like oral stimulation down there.
It's all about variety, and it challenges that whole idea that anal sex is only a gay thing. This Wikipedia article lays out the numbers, and it's happening across all genders and orientations.
Okay, now you've got to give us the juicy details. How common are we talking?
More common than you might think, seriously. And not just in the LGBTQ community. Heterosexual couples are doing it too. It's not this niche thing anymore.
See, this is why I love these deep dives. Always learning something new. But it's not just about the numbers, is it? There's a whole historical and cultural side to this, too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for centuries, anal sex has been tied to these ideas of dominance and submission, right? That's part of why it's been taboo for so long.
The wild how much history influences how we view things, even today. So how did we get from all that taboo to, seemingly more openness now?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's complicated, but the article does talk about how views on sexuality in general have shifted over time. More acceptance, more understanding, though there's always more work to be done, of course.
And that's what makes it all so fascinating, right? But okay, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's safety. Because whether we're talking about anal sex or any kind of intimacy, safety's got to come first,
Couldn't agree more. And the article's very upfront about the potential risks involved.
which is why we're here to break it down. So hit us with it. What are the biggest concerns?
Well, sexually transmitted infections, obviously, that's a risk with any sexual activity. But the article really stresses how delicate the anatomy is down there, way more prone to tearing and irritation.
Yeah, true. We were just talking about all those sensitive nerves. Things could go south pretty quickly if you're not careful.
Exactly. Lubrication is key. And not just any old lube. The article specifically says water-based. Apparently, it's the gentlest on those tissues.
Good to know. So we're talking lube, we're talking communication with your partner.
Yeah?
What about condoms? Are we using them?
Absolutely. Non-negotiable. Best protection against STIs. And they emphasize using them correctly every single time. No exceptions.
Okay, good. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I always kind of thought anal sex was like a guaranteed way to avoid pregnancy.
Ah, the old myth. And the article sets the record straight on that one.
So not a foolproof method then.
Nope. The chances of getting pregnant from anal sex are definitely lower than vaginal, but it's still possible. Sperm's sneaky. It can find its way to the vaginal opening.
You learn something new every day. Just goes to show. You can never be too informed when it comes to this stuff.
Right. Knowledge is power, especially for young people who might be getting info from, shall we say, less than reliable sources. The article even talks about how teenagers might think anal sex is like the safer option compared to vaginal sex, which can lead to riskier behavior.
It all comes back to education and open communication. Knowing the facts helps you make the best choices for your own body.
100%.
All right, so we've covered the physical stuff, the safety stuff, but let's get into the cultural and religious baggage that tends to surround this topic. Because this article does not hold back. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. I mean, the article talks about how for centuries, various religions saw anal sex as this, like, forbidden act. And the punishments back then, yikes.
Yeah, it's a pretty dark history. We're talking laws, social stigma. It really impacted people's lives in some pretty awful ways.
I mean, some societies literally put people to death for having anal sex. It's crazy how far we've come, but also kind of scary that those attitudes still exist in some places.
It's like this weird mix of progress and, like you said, some lingering prejudice. And get this, the article also mentions that despite all that, anal sex shows up in ancient art, almost like the secret history that contradicts everything else.
Seriously, so it's not just a modern thing. Wild. Makes you wonder if it's always been part of human sexuality, just hidden from view.
Exactly. It really makes you question those rigid ideas about what's moral when it comes to something as diverse as desire?
Totally. Wow. Okay, so we've gone from anatomy to cultural taboos to ancient art. My brain is officially fried. What's your big takeaway from all this?
Honestly, what really got me was how much the media influences our perception of sex, anal sex included. Like how much of what we think we know comes from what we see on screen,
Mm.
especially in porn.
Whoa, that's a heavy one to end on. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. And to everyone listening, if you want to dive deeper, definitely check out the full Wikipedia article on anal sex. Tons of info we didn't even have time to get to. But for now, thanks for joining us on this wild ride. Keep those minds open, and we'll catch you next time.